Okay, this is a quick video for y'all on my Hoover Elite. Now, let's get the story out of the way. So, I obtained this Hoover Elite from my previous drum/knitting teacher. I heard it, I vacuumed her downstairs with it and upstairs a little bit, because, she knew I was a vacuum expert. She said it sounds a bit funky, but I honestly don't care. And I gave her a test. I gave this bad boy a test, and it ran. Not well, extremely loudly. And I was like, yeah, motor's probably completely shot. And he was like, maybe I'll get a new one. 2 years later, she's still using the same one. I grabbed it from, she had me grab it from her in this long drawn out story that basically turns into, you're, I'll give your son my vacuum for a couple days to see, have him fix it up, see what he can do with it. So I do exactly that. I fix it up and see what I can do with it. But before I do that, I evaluate the price. A new motor for one of these things is about $100. A new brush roll is around 20. New bag is around 2. New belt is also around 2. If I didn't mention the belt already. Never mind the labor costs, because I've never even fixed a Hoover Elite before. And he was like, honestly, at that point, I'll just get a new vacuum, or I'll have him give me this one back. And I was like, haha, nope. Because when I plugged it in, I vacuumed with it for 5 minutes, and, being the logical person, I plugged it into a GFCI so I could tell if there were any faults. Turned it on, a minute later, the GFCI tripped. And I was like, ho ho ho. So, I said, she's like, you know what, on second thought, if I get this thing back, I'll probably just keep using it, and eventually I'll die of electric shock or something. And so she's like, you know what, screw it, your son can have it. I'm going to get myself a new one. I've been using this thing for way too long. Anyway, it's probably dirty and disgusting. So, boom, I got the Hoover Elite. I pulled it apart, totally expecting the rear bearing to be unserviceable. And you know what the rear bearing was? It was a 6080. Now that may not sound normal to the average person who does not speak Minecraft enchanting table or JavaScript, but that pretty much means the bearing was not sealed with a metal cover. It was sealed with one of those dinky plastic ones. Me being the logical person, I slapped some grease in it and called it good. That did wonders for it, and when I pulled it apart, I spun the spindle of the motor, and it actually squeaked. Now, that also doesn't sound too horrible, but the thing is, these bearings, metal bearings are not supposed to have any contact, metal to metal contact whatsoever. There's always supposed to be a very thin layer of grease. So that completely messed with my head, so I slapped some grease in it. I didn't resurface the commutator since the coating of carbon on it was so even. There was no harm in leaving it as is. And plus, this thing had high enough airflow as is. So I slapped it back together, put it in a new bag. I tried to get new belts for it. They were the wrong ones. They stunk like hell, so I put the original one back in. It's worn to hell, but it gets the job done. Now, despite this thing being from 2009, the headlight in it still works. Because this vacuum is from the age between right where vacuums were turning to cheap crap. Well, most would argue, they were turning to cheap crap. They were cheap crap at the time. That's what some would argue, but in my opinion, I beg to differ. And you may say, then beg, and I say, screw you. Now, this thing still is loud as hell, but that's probably, because of the horrible condition of the brush roller. The brush roller bearing seized up at one point. I checked it, there was so much slop in the bearing, I was just like, I'm not getting myself in that rat's nest. Let me just make sure it's off. Yes, it is. Now, it's still loud as hell, but, I mean, gets the job done. So, Grayson, whatever the frick you like to pronounce your last name as, you like to collect Hoover Elites. So, this video, I guess you could say, is dedicated to you. Maybe it needs a new cord now. Oh, well. It's a bit torn and tattered from that. There's no insulation exposed, so the show goes on. Yeah, that took me a moment to remember where the on-off switch was. I immediately went for the foot lever, which was dumb. But, honestly, since I can never seem to get this plug end to line up correctly, I'm probably going to put a butt ton of electrical tape on in hopes that it takes up a bit of room. But, yeah, this is a dual roll brush roll. You probably heard the vacuum. I mean, if you didn't, probably deaf. Probably from hearing a different Hoover Elite in worse condition. But, I really do like this thing. It's kind of funky compared to what I'm used to. The show must goeth. But before I do, let's not make the same mistake again, and let's move the cord. I'm on camera, so I'm stuck doing this. You know what? Screw it. There we go. I'm sorry, my finger's on the camera. What a wind down. Those brush roll bearings are trash. Well, this thing is in trash condition, but it's better than when I got it. That's all that really matters. Oh, wait. While I'm here, I may as well show you how restrictive the hose is. You've probably never seen a Hoover Elite with the hose off if you don't own one yourself. So, this will be a special treat for some. Maybe if you watch Grayson's channel, you may have. But I've not seen enough of his Elite videos. But I do like the fact that this one's a soft bag. But, let's see how restrictive it is. Yeah, the hose on this thing's so skinny that it doesn't really like that. But, I mean, at least the tools are on board. Cough, cough, Kirby, cough, cough. And I like this vacuum mainly because you'd think that because it's so new, 2009, that it's crappy and doesn't work well. Because it's so new. Whether or not you think 2009 is new is purely up to you. But in my opinion, it's pretty new. But I like this thing. It's good. It's only been serviced once in its life, and they barely did crap. They just changed the belt. Maybe they changed the bag. But, yeah, I've got to get this thing a new brush roll. There's so much slop in that front bearing. It's not even worth greasing. So, yeah, I'm gonna hope for new brush. Now, Lawrence McLean did a video where he put a metal fin in his Avalier too. Hopefully, my local Kirby repair shop is kind enough to let me purchase one from them. But I doubt it'll be cheap. Well, I'm gonna do the exact same thing he did on his Avalier 2 to mine, and honestly, I don't care if anything goes wrong. I know the Kirby inside and out. I know how to take it down to its very last atom, so don't freak out if it sounds weird or something's broken. I mean, the transmission's already got a dry bearing in it that I need to grease up, so don't be shocked if it makes any funky, chunky noises. Now, that's all for today's video. See you next time.